Alright, so yesterday I talked about my life at the start of this decade, 2010. Today I will be covering the events in my life in 2011, 2011, whatever, 2K11. So, the year started off 2011. I was in 5th grade. I had depression pretty bad. Me and Patrick's friendship wasn't even going that well. School wasn't going well, grade-wise or just in general. At home, I would constantly be checking all the new 3DS news and stuff, getting hyped for it to come out. Um, in the meantime, the game I played the most was Super Mario Sunshine. The entirety of 5th grade after Christmas, I was very into Super Mario Sunshine. And yeah, so I there wasn't really any big events. I until the 3DS came out, March 27, 2011. That's when the 3DS came out. That was, oh my gosh, I was so freaking excited. That was such an awesome day. Um, Anyways, we finished off 5th grade. I think June 7th was the last day. I think June 7th, 2011. And so I have a grandma. We call her Grandma Mississippi because she comes from Mississippi. 2010, she used to come over like about once a year. 2010, she was there during like August. This year, she was gonna show up during the start of the summer. She didn't. She came later in the year. So June 7th was the last day of school. That was also the day that the eShop came out on the 3DS. And dang, that's a reminder that Nintendo really released the 3DS too early. Like, they seriously should have waited, like, at least a few months. So, the eShop came out and E3. So, and that is when Nintendo announced the Wii U, which, because I was a little kid, just like the 3DS, I was so excited about. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I got so excited about that. Watching all the new videos on the Nintendo channel on the Wii, and because the Wii was still my primary console. Oh yeah, also during 5th grade, the second half, I ended up getting Super Mario 64 DS for the DS, and I got Action Replay, and I used to hack that in Mario Kart DS. That was awesome. I still miss that to this day. Action Replay was awesome. So that's pretty much what my life was like that second half of 5th grade. And then the summer started. Now, summer 2011, I said summer 2010 is probably the best summer of my life. Well, that's up for debate because this summer, summer 2011, the 3DS summer, to this day, me and Patrick still can't really decide which summer was better. Because even though summer 2010 was like pure childhood, so was this summer, summer 2011. I was a bit more grown up by a year. And there was honestly less drama. I wasn't as immature as the year before. Nonetheless, there was still drama every once in a while. But so to this day, summer 2010 and summer 2011 are honestly like tied in my mind. They were both just amazing. Amazing times. So this first 2 weeks, or a few weeks of the summer until July, my birthday is June 24th. I was so hyped because I made it pretty clear to Mom that I wanted a 3DS. Obviously, because I was so excited for the 3DS to come out, and it was out. I wanted one so bad. So my birthday was coming up. So the weeks leading up to me getting it, what me and Patrick did, it was pretty much a continuation of the previous summer. Patrick actually moved across the street to a new house to avoid their neighbors, which is hilarious. Then they ended up finding out they moved there like a few months later. Anyways, so, great time. So what me and Patrick did, we actually got into a little phase where we were playing on his Xbox 360. We actually got into Call of Duty World at War, Nazi Zombies, Kino die Toten or whatever. That one specific map, we got into a kick where we played it all the time. And I kid you not, The farthest we got was round 3. I'm not even joking. That's how bad we were. And we thought we were good. When we made it to round 3, we were like, oh my gosh, dude, we're so good. Oh my gosh. But yeah. And we would pretend that if... So, there was this infamous Nintendo On hoax video that was on YouTube. It was popular for a while. And me and Patrick, we would pretend that we had one. It was essentially virtual reality, but this was at the start of the decade when it wasn't actually a reality. It was just like an imagination. But so we would pretend we were basically in virtual reality, which is crazy because now at the end of the decade, it's a reality. But back then we were pretending because it was like it was like so futuristic. And we pretended we were like in Call of Duty, like doing zombies or whatever in his backyard. Oh my gosh. It was so fun. And then there was a hill down the road at my house we would go to, and we pretended it was like a Super Mario Sunshine level. And we got into this game called Jet Rocket on the Wii, a WiiWare game. It was a really good quality game. It was kind of like Super Mario Galaxy. And then we got back into playing Super Mario Flash. So, Super Mario Flash, that was a part of both summers. So, Super Mario Flash, I think, if you don't know what that was a very popular online Mario, like, fan-made game. Now, there was, like, a story mode, but that didn't matter. The real important thing was that this was Super Mario Maker, before Super Mario Maker. Nintendo pretty much took the idea from these people. Super Mario Flash had a level maker. Before Super Mario Maker. It was, yeah, Super Mario Maker before Mario Maker. And in the early 2010s. And, you know, you could go online and download other people's levels and play them. It was awesome. And me and Patrick were really into it. So what we would do was Patrick would take a turn playing the Wii, whatever game it was, and then I would make him a level, and for like about half an hour, and then Patrick would play it and try to beat it. And then I would play the Wii, and Patrick would make me a level. And I remember Patrick would always be kind of lazy with it because he would just want to play the Wii. Like, I was more into the idea than him. It still worked. It was really fun. So that was how the summer went until a huge change in my life came. First off, I remember, so my family, they've always lived off of like Social Security. If you don't know what that means, basically we get our money the beginning of each month. So we're usually like rich the first half of the month, and the second half of the month we start struggling financially. So since my birthday's on the 24th, I have a history of not actually getting my present till the start of July, like a week later. Now, I remember, like, I can picture this in my mind. The day before my 12th birthday, so yeah, June 23rd, 2011, I found out that I wasn't going to get my 3DS on my birthday. And because I was such an immature, ungrateful little brat, I remember I was holding my DS. I got so mad, I threw my DS at the Wii, and single-handedly, I almost broke both consoles in just one throw. The DS and the Wii both survived, but I almost broke both of them. Just over my anger that I wasn't going to get a 3D, I had to wait like an extra week to get the 3DS. Oh my gosh. And I can picture me doing that in my head. But yeah, that's how immature I was. And fortunately, a week later, July 1st, 2011, a monumental day in my life. That is the day I got my 3DS at approximately noon. Oh my gosh, it was from GameStop. It was awesome. We traded in my DS Lite with some other games for the 3DS. And I remember the GameStop actually, fun fact, the GameStop ripped us off. Because they still ended up charging Mom the full price. Even though she traded in games towards the price of the 3DS. They still ripped her off. So Mom still ended up paying like $250. GameStop is such a bad company. But even after all these years. So anyways. Yep, sure enough, I got the 3DS. Woo! Oh my gosh, guys, I was a kid. I mean, I was jumping up and down for joy. I was screaming. It was awesome. Since that day, that marks the day that I started like my autobiographical memory, like remembering what happened on exact days. And it was because the 3DS was the first thing with a camera I ever owned. I Because you gotta keep in mind this was a time when kids had still had DSs. Some even still had a GBA. I mean, this was before the days where kids had phones. I mean, even I don't even think the majority of Americans had like a smartphone yet. So this was the first time I ever owned something with a camera, and I took pictures of everything. And I would like go back and be like, oh, I did this on that day, and that's when that all started, July 1st, 2011, right in the middle of that year. So the 3DS is really what brought that about. And plus, since I was a kid, like to this day, I still think it's the 3D feature on the 3DS is cool. Which, unfortunately, I'm in the minority because most people either actually dislike it or don't care for it. But from the start, I thought it was so awesome that you could see 3D without 3D glasses. And it's just a gimmick, but to me, it really did make a difference, especially as a little kid. But yeah, it was so awesome to me. So, but yeah, so for that, so me, Patrick, and Jess would all like take turns playing my 3DS. I actually did pretty good not being too stingy with it. I would actually give them chances. I don't know if I think I actually did let JoJo play it a little bit. Um, but yeah, so, oh my gosh. So, that was the start of the next chapter of my life, was the 3DS. And I was on that thing all the time. I didn't even really have games for it. I just went on the friend list and I would always talk to my friends on there, which was another new thing. That's the closest I ever got to social media at that point in my life, was the 3DS friends list. It's crazy how much our culture's changed. Um, anyways, so July 12th. Now, for those of you who don't know, the 3DS was originally $250, which is too much. Now, because the sales were failing, they lowered the price all the way down to $180. And my friend Patrick, so Nintendo gave a pretty short notice for this. My friend Patrick and his mom rushed him out to the store to get his own 3DS. And he literally got the 3DS just in time. On the exact day, he got the 3DS just in time to be an ambassador. To this day, on my 3DS XL, which actually hasn't worked in about a year, and I have yet to get it repaired, which is a shame because it has like over 90 games over all the years. But anyways, so to this day, I am an ambassador. I have the 10 GBA games. Out of the 60 million people with the 3DS, 60 something million, I'm one of the only 4 million that was an ambassador. And so was Patrick. He got a black 3DS that day. So then me and Patrick had a 3DS, and I remember we would street pass with each other, play Find Me. Oh my gosh, guys. And I remember we would just in order to get steps, we would literally just walk around the house. And then eventually we figured out you could just go like this on your lap and it would count as steps. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the 3DS pretty much absorbed the rest of that summer. The whole rest of the summer was pretty much based around the 3DS. And we would still watch YouTube all the time, YTPs mainly. So it was similar in a lot of ways to the first summer of our friendship. August was interesting. I had a cousin named Brandon, and he spent a couple weeks with us. The whole time he was there, he was very introverted and shy. Like, he didn't make his presence known. He played my 3DS a few times. Specifically, he played Excite Bike. And I remember, he mainly just played his Xbox 360. And I remember he played with my other cousin, his younger brother Justin, who I now live with. Back when Justin was like 16, and they would play like Call of Duty or Halo or something together. And I remember I got to talk to Justin on the mic a little bit. that was very cool to me because since I only played Nintendo other than PlayStation 2, I had never experienced voice chat. In fact, I think Fortnite is the first video game my whole life that I ever really got to experience voice chat. I'm not even kidding. So, um, that was cool to me. Other than that, his visit was odd, you know, he was kind of just there. Nonetheless, that last month of the summer was still awesome. And, yeah. So, the school year came. Middle school. Guys, it's so cute to think back when I was a 12-year-old. Me and Jess were so scared to start middle school. It was so intimidating. September 6th, 2011. The first day of middle school. And sure enough, it went great. Spoiler alert, 6th grade to this was probably the best school year of my whole life. 6th grade was amazing. 5th grade was of course 5th grade was the worst, followed up by the best year right after that. Part of it was because back in 5th grade, because I was an immature, dumb little kid, I purposely annoyed people back in 5th grade. I was one of those weird kids that actually purposely acted weird and stuff. And thankfully, because that's part of what caused all my depression, because I got picked on all the time because of my own doing, when 6th grade started, I was able to, it was a fresh slate, you know, I was able to reinvent myself. And 6th grade, I was myself. I decided to be myself. I stopped trying to annoy people on purpose. And yeah, I was myself. So, and also in our school district, the way it worked back then was we had, even though it was the same district, up to 5th grade, there were really 2 separate schools. So in middle school, we all came together. So like literally half of the grade were new to us. So it was like a whole bunch of new kids too, which was exciting. So my life changed in 6th grade. School was going awesome. And as for at home, I played my 3DS all the time. That's how my life was at that point. September 19th, 2011. So we had a YouTube channel before, which my mom owned, and I mean, it was with her camera, so we couldn't just make videos and upload them when we wanted. Crap. I don't know if I want to show you guys that first YouTube channel because there's some pure cringe on there from me and Patrick. But I mean, we were little kids. But September 19th, 2011, Patrick's mom made him a YouTube channel. And Patrick had the login. This was the first time ever that we essentially had our own YouTube channel. Selena 1967-1 still stands to this day. So many memories on there. So of course we didn't have any means of actually making videos, but we had a YouTube channel. I would make playlists and, you know, I would use that to watch videos and like them. It was exciting because that felt more like our own actual YouTube channel. And I still remember the day on the bus. He was like about to get off the bus when he told me, he was like, "Oh hey, my mom made me a YouTube channel." And I was like, "What? That's awesome." Because this was before either of us had our own email. This was, so, you know, that was a big deal to us. And I essentially took the role of like the promoter. I was like because I was immature and I always wanted control. I became like the owner of the channel. Patrick made all the videos, really, but I was like the owner of the channel. I would promote it, which actually did work. I mean, we got like a small following. I would self-promote, and well, that was my main role, honestly. And I would design our channel, because that was when YouTube was much better, much more customizable. But yeah, those days were awesome. So, the next chapter in my life. So October, I got really into Link's Awakening DX on the 3DS. That game holds a special place in my heart. I ended up beating it, and I got so into that game. And October 19th, 1 month after the channel was made, back in back in the end of the summer, Patrick's cousin came over. He was there for like a week. We didn't exactly get along, but there were some fun memories made. He recorded some videos because his cousin had an iPhone or an iPod Touch, and he recorded some videos. So I'm not sure why, but for some reason on October 19th, that's the day that he randomly decided to upload one of them. And that was our first video. Why the heck is SMBSTH Nintendo Sega 15 crazy username recording me eating a pretzel or something like that? That was the first video. And so yeah. And it was exciting. And then after that, shortly after that, Patrick discovered Go Animate. And Patrick, some other weird, like, free animation things that you could just upload to YouTube. And he started making a ton of those. And that's really how our channel started. And it was so exciting. I would advertise it, you know. And then Halloween came. Halloween was fun that year. So, the next big thing in my life was Todd. Lord, thank you so much for my friendship with Todd. Another amazing lifelong friendship that still stands strong to this day. My friendship with Todd. So, I first met Todd in 5th grade. That was the first year that he was in the same school as us. He was in my class. However, we never really talked too much. In fact, I still remember the first words he ever said to me. Now, I told you about that journal I had, that 3DS journal I left open in class in 5th grade. He was the only person to ever, other than friends and like my family, but he was the only one to ever compliment it, like just another student. I remember he came up to me one day, he was like, nice journal. Those were the first 2 words he ever said to me. I remember it like caught me off guard because first off, he was actually nice. And second off, I mean, you know, it was like, oh, thank you. So, but we never, the whole school year, we never hung out during recess or anything. We ended up in a friendship group and speech class. So we were in 2, like, I mean, I guess you could count them as clubs, kind of. We were both in speech class together, and we were both in this friendship group. It was me, Patrick, Todd, and then this kid named Jason. And that really started like a bond between us, the 3 of us, me, Patrick, and Todd. But we weren't close enough to really take it anywhere else. But it's very fascinating to think, like, what if Todd actually became a part of that summer? What if our friendship actually, like, started during that summer? That would have been so weird, the 3DS summer, if it would have been like the Todd summer. So then 2010, 2011, 2012, in order, would have been the Patrick summer, Todd summer, Corey summer. That would have been pretty awesome, but of course, that's not how it happened, and I'm glad things happened the way they did happen. But it is interesting to think about. So, anyways, so through the first few months of 6th grade, me and Todd, we're getting along. Like, we'd hang out at recess, in the hallway and stuff, and at lunch. It wasn't until, this must have been, I think November 18th, 2011, because I think it was a Friday. That must have been it. So, we had a field trip to a bowling rink. And, like, the group was me, Todd, Austin, and Jess, my sister. Speaking of Austin, you guys know Austin. He's another former friend at this point. At this point, when we first met in 6th grade, he kind of was a part of our group, like at recess and stuff. But I'm not even making this up, guys. I still don't know to this day where his accent comes from, but his accent used to be so strong. None of us could tell what he said. He would like make a joke and laugh, and then we would be like, "Oh, haha, yeah," but we literally like never knew what he said, like never. So yeah, none of us. He was there, but none of us really cared for him, which sounds mean. None of us really cared for him back in 6th grade. So Todd, but me and Todd, we just had such an awesome time at this bowling field trip. That's what made me realize, you know what? Me and Todd, like, we need to start like a friendship, like Patrick. So I got his phone number, and um, we were gonna start hanging out together. So November 24th, 2011, Thanksgiving. My cousin Brandon, the one I talked about, he was with us for a couple weeks. He commits suicide. He took his own life on Thanksgiving that year. The family, we weren't told until midnight after Thanksgiving had ended in order for us to still have a happy Thanksgiving. I still remember that there was something off while our family was having dinner. Like, you know, there was something off. But it wasn't until midnight when Patrick was spending the night that Mom revealed to us that Brandon had killed himself. And, I mean, I didn't react with shock because he was always, like, he had schizophrenia. So it wasn't, like, a surprise, but it was hard. And I even cried at school a few times. It was hard. But what's odd is the very next day was the first day ever that Todd was supposed to come over. And my dad has a history of this. My dad got the directions wrong and couldn't find his house. So it didn't end up happening. So that, on top of finding out Brandon killed himself, I really entered like a depression there. It was a hard time. Nonetheless, for whatever reason, because Todd couldn't come spend the night, his first night ever that day, I guess he must have been busy the rest of the weekend. So for whatever reason, he wouldn't be able to come over till Monday once we went back to school after break. So November 28th, 2011, after school that day, we picked up Todd. He came over for the first time ever. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Our friendship started on that day, November 20th, 2011. I consider that the first day of our close friendship. Our friendiversary, you would call it. That was the first day of our friendship, and it was awesome. You know, because just very similar to Patrick, we had a bond over our like love for old school games, specifically Nintendo. Because just like Patrick, Todd's family, they're always old school. They're always kind of behind technologically. So, you know, both of us and Patrick, I mean, Patrick and Todd's friendship is just as strong as me and Todd's friendship. Like, all three of us were instantly connected. Because we all, like, loved old Nintendo. Like, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo stuff. And Todd even had, like, an N64 and a GameCube and all that. And then, so yeah, and me and Todd's friendship blossomed just like Patrick's. And I had another close friend, thank God. Very close friend to this day. And that's the day that our friendship started. So that first weekend, the first time Todd ever spent the night, it was with Patrick. So it was me, Todd, and Patrick. And that was the night that Patrick rammed his knee into the wall because we were like messing around with a chair or something. Oh my gosh. So many memories. But what an awesome time that was. I now had 2 close friends for the first time in my life. And it was amazing. So our friendship blossomed. Now what's also crazy is it's just so crazy how different culture was just like 8 years ago. But Todd was almost a 13-year-old boy. He never used YouTube. At this point, he had a Facebook, which he didn't actually use, but he never used YouTube. Like, internet was essentially not even a part of his life. I mean, it wasn't for me either till I was like 9 or 10. But it just blows my mind. He was almost 13 years old, and me and Patrick actually introduced him to YouTube and got him into it. And Smosh. Oh my gosh, guys. We used to love Smosh. This was back when Smosh. This was back when they were actually like really good. We would actually be excited for the new video on Friday. It was in the Zelda rap. Oh my gosh. So, it was awesome. And we would play Mario Party 2. To this day, Mario Party 2 is such an essential game of our friendship. Even though they say that's the game that ends friendships, it really strengthened ours. I mean, we would always play Mario Party 2 together. Now, another important aspect of my life was starting to form. I had never really been into music at this up to this point in my life. Um, there had been songs I liked. There were a couple phases where I was kind of attuned to like the popular music, but it wasn't really intentional. Um, Now, party rock anthem. Me and my friends and my sister, we got huge into party rock anthem. In sixth grade, it was a cultural phenomenon. Like all the kids were like trying to learn how to shuffle and everything, including me. Party rock anthem was huge, and I got obsessed with that song. And Todd, I mean, there was even a clip. I don't know if Mom still has it. It's so old, but of me and Todd like pretending to shuffle on like a patch of ice or something. But oh my gosh, and I feel like that song is what inspired me to kind of look into some of the other like most pop viewed songs on YouTube and stuff. And I got into like Bad Romance, On the Floor, even Baby by Justin Bieber. I already had kind of a guilty pleasure for Justin Bieber as a fifth grader, but I got like. So yeah, I was actually starting to get into some of the popular music for really the first time in my whole life. Um, in the meantime, on the 3DS, sometime during the month, video recording came out, and that was huge in my life. Because once again, like I said, I never had a device that could take pictures or record videos before my 3DS. So this was the first time ever I had something I was able to record videos on. And I recorded all kinds of videos back then. I even made like, tried to remake music videos and stuff. And I tried making like stop motion, like cartoons and stuff. I was really creative with it, but that was awesome for me too. Um, so, and then, December 22nd, I think? Yeah, I think so. December 22nd, Swap Note came out. Once again, this was before me and a lot of our generation had ever used social media. So Swap Note was a huge deal. For the first time ever, we could actually like send messages to our friends and stuff. It was awesome. And I still remember to this day, the first day it was out, I got over 600 messages. That's crazy. It was so fun, guys. It was so awesome. Also, sometime during the beginning of December, we had Brandon's funeral. But yeah. And so, and then I remember the day after that, December 23rd, we had our yearly family get together. Little did we know that would be the last one, which is unfortunate because those every year we had those and they were so fun. They were awesome. So that was awesome. And of course I brought my 3DS. I was taking pictures and recording videos. And then the next day, Christmas Eve, we had a different family party, which we had every year. That continued on until just a couple years ago. But anyway, I remember on this day, for no apparent reason, I mean, because I've always kind of had bipolar, and it was worse. It was so bad. Oh, Lord, thank you so much for helping my bipolar get better. He really has healed me in a lot of ways, but at this point in my life, you know, I would get depressed for no reason. It still happens, but not as bad now, but I would get depressed for no reason, and I remember on Christmas Eve during the party, for no real reason, I just got really depressed, and that carried on into Christmas. We actually missed church, which made me feel even worse, and, alright, so then, I think December 6th, so Super Mario 3D Land, I was so excited for that game to come out, and, on, I think December 6th was the day, I'm not sure, but Mom decided to give me and Jess an early Christmas present. I kinda wish she didn't, but she gave me Super Mario 3D Land early, and oh my gosh, guys, I fell in love with it. I played it all the time. I played it so much, and so yeah, that was awesome. But that means that when Christmas came, my biggest present was a new TV, which I should have been very thankful for. This was really me just being a spoiled brat. but I was so ungrateful. I got good stuff, but I was just being a brat about it, and I was actually crying and stuff. I also got Cave Story 3D, which I know is probably a good game, but just because I was so immature, like I kind of Cave Story 3D to me kind of represented my bad Christmas, so I kind of I ended up hating that game. I barely gave it a chance. Um, and I was also upset because Jess got Mario Kart 7, which made me jealous. Which is stupid because I got Super Mario 3D Land, so, you know. But nonetheless, I had a sucky Christmas, and it was really my own fault, my own attitude. Also, so then we were into Christmas break. Me and Patrick had some good times together, but Todd, because remember, this was before we had social media, Todd didn't have a 3DS or anything. Other than the phone, we had no way of communicating back then. Todd told us, me and Patrick, he was like, well, over the Christmas break, I'm going to be at my grandma's. Turned out that never ended up happening, but Todd never contacted us. So the entire Christmas break was Toddless for me and Patrick, which also kind of made it a bummer. So that Christmas break also wasn't the best. But anyways, yeah, that's 2011. That sums up my life in 2011. So by the end of the year, I now had two great friendships going. Todd and Patrick and Todd. I was beginning to get into music for the first time ever, really in my life. And I was really into Super Mario 3D Land. And that was pretty much my life at that point. We were really into Smosh, and yeah. And we were still like very into YTPs, especially like Hank Hill. Oh my gosh, the Hank Hill YTPs. Those were our favorites. Boggle.